What's a good word, everyone? It's your boy DKB here. I just want to say thanks for all the support. The channel's been steadily growing, and the number you see below, you can drop a text, shoot a voicemail, any ideas, topics, collabs, etc. you guys want to see. I'll include them in future videos and live streams, and I'll catch you again. Be easy. What's a good word, Jets fans? It's your boy DKB here, and the New York Jets were awarded 3 players yesterday on the waiver wire. We ended up bringing in a new tight end, a linebacker, and an offensive tackle. And just taking a look at these 3 guys, I'm really excited about each one for a specific function within this team. We have a special teams beast that's coming on. We have a high-profile preseason star. And then you have a tight end that really should be up there in folklore with Zach Kuntz in terms of athletic ceiling and what he can really offer out there on the field. So let's go ahead and dive into it with our linebacker first. Cam Jones coming into year 3 as a 2023 UDFA, 6'2", 227 pounds. This is our special teams demon, and it's easy for me to look at him as the potential Chris Boyd replacement for the season, but he has some really strong things going for him from a athleticism standpoint, but also when you take a look at last year having a 90 PFF grade, which made him the 6th best special teamer in the NFL last year. You love to see it coming from the Chiefs, an organization that's been functioning at a very, very high level and also has an emphasis on all 3 levels of football. It's a tremendous get for us realistically. Now, special teams has continued to be a focus, and when you take a look at where we poured a ton of resources into, it was generally at cornerback and at linebacker, and specifically with the linebackers we were bringing in, it looked like they all had some level of a special teams element to them. So this is one where, again, Chris Boyd replacement as maybe that gunner, and locking down that position for us until Herb Charles can return, and even after potentially, right? But more so, also I'm curious how this impacts someone like Zaire Barnes, who felt like a bit of a long shot to make the roster anyways. I think many of us would have said Jamin Davis should have made it over someone like Zaire Barnes. So maybe we see a little bit more roster construction management when it comes to bringing Cam Jones in, and at least this is a player that can hit the ground running, right? Obviously, you throw the defensive playbook at him as the 5th linebacker. Ideally, he's not seeing the field a ton, handful of snaps here and there, but realistically, he can drive right into special teams and make an immediate impact for us. So, again, big get there for us. When you look at the next player, trench play, Esa Pole is the name that I keep seeing pronounced, or at least the way I keep seeing it pronounced. 6'5", 323 pounds, a player that we also got a little background knowledge in as having a top 30 visit with us previously. He was a UDFA in this draft cycle, but I vividly remember final mock drafts coming out, people putting out their final versions, and Esa Pole was just one of those late name risers for draft analyst and just your favorite fantasy guys, I guess, etc., really diving into the bottom tier of this draft cycle and trying to find guys that stand out for one facet or another. And Esa Pole happened to be one of those where in 2024, he only allowed 9 pressures on 498 pass block reps after having a not so great 2023 elite bounce back year. 0 sacks allowed in 2023 as well, in 2024. And then you take a look at what he was able to do in preseason, where on 49 snaps, and I think 43 of those were pass block reps from what I saw, statistically anyways, 0 pressures. One of the, ranked up there with one of the, I think he was 2nd in preseason in terms of tackle rankings and snaps played. A Bills player was the top ranked guy, but he also was one of the 2 players, him and Isaiah. I was going to say Isaiah Simmons, but his name is escaping me. I feel like it is maybe Isaiah Simmons. Either way, the tackle that they picked up in the first round also allowed 0 pressures, but he did it in about half the amount of snaps.
Esa Pole is going to be extremely pivotal for us because he could come in and push Max Mitchell right away to try to become that backup swing tackle. But this is also a player that has been able to come on hot in the last 2 years. And you're talking about him being fairly new to football, where he's really only played the last 4 years at any kind of acceptable or, decent average level of football. So the sky could be the limit for this guy. He's definitely going to bring the physical stature coming off the bus, and just, some of these DEs that are going to be a bit lighter are going to look at him and just know that it's not going to be a field day for them, right? So you love to see it. I'm really hoping that we see him making an impact immediately, but this was a guy that I drafted in one of my mock drafts, and I remember citing the fact that he just brings that size, physicality, athleticism dimension, and seeing that he was able to make huge strides in his development. Plus. Our final player here, Jelani Woods. This is our comeback player of the year candidate, right? This is a guy that, if not for health, people would probably be talking about him in high regards after hopefully posting a really good 2023-2024 season. But Jelani Woods is 6'7", 253 pounds, was a former third rounder in the 2022 draft. And he lost the last 2 years to, in 2023, continuous hamstring issues, and then ultimately he tore one, which ended up ending his season. And then in 2024 he required surgery on his turf toe, which wiped out that year. And then the Colts pretty much overhauled that entire tight end room and then left him on the outside looking in without much opportunity. I did get a chance to look in and check in with some Colts guys, beat writers, etc. And what I understand from the course of the offseason for him is that he was rarely afforded a chance to see second team snaps. So basically relegated to the third, fourth, fifth string units, and he didn't necessarily outplay anybody. But this is a guy that many people feel really good about, and for those that love the athleticism metrics and all that kind of stuff, he had a perfect RAS score, a 10 out of 10. Who does that remind you of? Zach Kuntz. This is hard to say this isn't his immediate replacement. Now, looking at what he did in preseason, you can get kind of excited. Looking at his highlight tape from 2023, you feel really good. But one of the underrated aspects of his game, while he's not elite tier or even consistently above average in his territory, the Colts have always been a very underrated but rush-oriented team, and that's a part of his game that he's had to continue to try to work on, develop. So 2 years of essentially losing out on development and trying to gain favor with the coaching staff, but we're pressing the reset here with the Jets. He's going to be around a great coaching staff that understands how to utilize tight ends, and he could walk in as the next best receiving threat after Mason Taylor, which would bump Stone Smart down a bit. But if you find his blocking acceptable, this also means he's probably an immediate threat to Jeremy Ruckert, who feels like he's really hanging on by the skin of his teeth with Andrew Beck eating into his role and being able to do it better anyway. So let me know what you guys think. Any tips, secrets, news, etc. that you guys have out there that you haven't heard shared here. And I'll catch you guys again. Peace.